Hey, how y'all doing? Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well. Just came to tell you, as the subject says, it might have failed, but you are not a failure. Your idea to keep moving forward, it might have failed, but you're not a failure. So stop feeling because it failed that you are a failure. I can tell you about that my own self, because I have in my past on occasion, I thought I was a failure because things around me seemed to be failing. But I had to realize I am not the failure because I failed. You have to understand that on this journey to success, you are going to fail sometime. But that doesn't mean that you are a failure. So stop allowing yourself to think that you're a failure because some things that you've tried have failed and may have failed miserably. You're not a failure. You're not a failure. It takes courage to get up, move past the pain, move past the hurt, move past the feelings of I'm a failure, move past the fear. Courage is doing it in spite of your fear. Courage is doing it in spite of your failure. The failure. You are not the failure, just that thing failed. So it takes courage to get back up once you've been knocked down. It takes courage to keep moving when you feel like it's not doing you any good. It takes courage to keep moving when you feel like the world is against you. It takes courage to keep moving. It takes courage to keep dreaming. So I came to tell you this afternoon, that thing might fail, but you are not a failure. You're not a failure in your life, in your family life. You're not a failure. Stop allowing people to tell you this happened because of you. This happened because you did. You are not a failure. You're not a failure. I decree and declare you're going to get that failure mentality out of your head, because you're not a failure. Things that you may have tried, they may have failed miserably. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. The business idea may have failed, but that doesn't mean that you are a failure. You're not a failure. Anytime you keep getting up, it takes courage to get up after you've been knocked down. It takes courage to keep moving. Even you don't think that it matters to anybody else. It takes courage to keep doing what God is calling you to do. It takes courage because people not listening. They not caring. They not supporting, but that's okay. It takes courage to move past the mentality of you a failure. That thing might have failed. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. You are not a failure. Stop allowing people to make you think that you're the reason. You're the failure. Because I just tell them you must be talking about yourself. Or you must be talking to yourself. Because I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. Success is in my DNA. Royalty is in my DNA. Making it against all odds is in my DNA. Making it should be in your DNA. Succeeding should be in your DNA. Being successful should be in your DNA. You're not a failure. Just because the idea that you had, it failed. How about maybe that wasn't the idea that God wanted you to go with? You have to fail your way to success. You're not a failure. Stop thinking that you are. Stop believing when people tell you that you are, because you're not a failure. You're not a failure. You're not a failure. They may have been some fails in your life. Stuff failed. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. You're not a failure. That means, God, give me the strategy. God, I need to come back to the drawing board. Give me the strategy. Let's rethink this. Let's collaborate together, because something didn't go right that time, but it's gonna work this time. It's gonna work this time, because you're not a failure. I quit listening to folks say I'm a failure, I'm never gonna be successful. I quit listening to people when they come to me with negativity. Negativity has nowhere in my ear gates. I don't allow it in my ear gates. I don't allow it anywhere around me if I can help it. If I can't help it, I say, God, guard my ears. Guard my ears, so all I hear is your voice with a positiveness. Tell me I am one of your own. I am one of you. See, because people get off, they get excited when they see that you're feeding off the negativity that they bring you. You're not a failure. Stop acting like you are. You're not a failure. That didn't work that time because it wasn't time. You're not a failure. Stop acting like you're a failure. Stop acting like you don't know how to encourage yourself. Stop acting like you're not worthy of every petition, every desire that you have up with the Lord. Stop acting like you don't deserve it. Stop acting like you are not worthy. You are worthy. You are the success that you want to be. Your greater is now. It's not coming. It's right now. Stop acting like you're not great because somebody treats you indifferently because they don't see the greatness. You are great. You are successful. Your idea, that plan may have failed, but you are not a failure. Get that out your head. You're not a failure. Y'all be blessed. G loves you. Y'all just remember, you're not a failure. You're not a failure. Things may fail, but you are not a failure. You got to fail your way up to success. Les Brown say, hungry people understand they have to fail their way up to success. Every idea is not going to be the best next thing. It's not going to be the greatest next thing. Every idea is not going to work out where it's going to be the idea and it's going to flourish. Some of ideas are learning curves. You have to learn. Maybe I shouldn't have done it like this, or maybe I should do it like this. You have to learn. We have to learn. I'm not exempt. We have to learn. Every idea, it may fail, but I do know I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. There were some times in my life I thought I was a failure because my life just wasn't panning out the way I thought it should have. I felt I was a failure as a mother, as a daughter, but I'm not a failure. God had to remind me, I'm not a failure. You're the sole parent. You made sure your daughter got out of college. You're not a failure. You're doing what you have to do with what you have and be responsible, the responsible parent. You're not a failure. See, so that's what I tell myself now. That's what God ensures me. God keeps telling me, you're not a failure. Gee, stop saying you're a failure, because you're not a failure. The idea you had about that business, or that business, maybe it failed. But you yourself, you're not a failure. So I just came to tell you, you're not a failure. Have the courage to get up when you've been knocked down. Have the courage to keep speaking when you think people not listening. Have a courage to keep walking when you feel like you want to give up on that journey. You're not a failure. Love y'all. Y'all be blessed.